Well, up next for the Cardinals, the team that, at least to me, has been the surprise team of the year in the Minnesota Vikings. I think probably for a lot of people, the fact that the Vikings are 9-2. So we were going back and forth on this earlier, trying to figure out if they're a top 5 team. I think Wolf had them 5, I had them 6. But either way, what I trust about them is their defense. And Wolf's been pointing this out all week, especially their run defense. And that's where the Cardinals struggled last week against Seattle, was running the ball. So when you see this matchup, what do you think is the most important thing for the Cardinals, the most important battle within the game for them to win?
It's up front, and it's always going to be up front, especially the way this team is built and what really gets them going. And it's when James Conner is rolling, when the run game is rolling, they're a way better football team, right? And that's how most football teams are. There's not too many people that can just step back and like put it in the quarterback's hands and let them do it regardless of a run game. But I would say in particular with this team, all the things that they're able to do off of the run when James is going, play action, and you can even see it with a couple of their plays. Their bigger plays last week was like this, boot out to McBride, right? Again, he's been balling all season. Yeah. But it's off of a play action fake to Connors, backside, and then Kyler boots out. They forget about the tight end because they go from run to Kyler, where's the tight end? Doop. And he has, I think, maybe 20 yards on both of those plays. Mm-hmm. So everything they do, I think, really works well and gets accelerated when they're able to run the ball at a high level. Because, again, you're putting linebackers, you're putting DBs, everybody in this conundrum of what are they doing and what do we have to stop. So, for me this week, I would go back to what works. Seeing the run games, where are my most explosive run games? Don't try to – and maybe they did that a little bit because it was Seattle Seahawks. And so sometimes you try to outthink yourself. Right, this is what we do. They see us all the time. This is our favorite runs. Let's try to do something different, right? Mm-hmm. Or let's try to do something that we saw that beat them. Sometimes you just got to stick to your guns and let's do what works for us and make them stop it. And so getting back to that stretch zone, the guards are pulling, really trying to work the edges, right? Putting Connor on DBs and corners and really work the game that way, I think is going to really help them in their run game and really getting Connor or whoever's back there going early and often and really have be more effective, right, in the run game versus what they looked like last week.
Yeah, last week, honestly, again, going into that game against the Seahawks, they were number 5 in rushing yards per game.
Yeah.
And number 2 in rushing yards per play. That is a physical bunch right there.
Right.
That is a physical bunch, as we all know. And yet here come the Minnesota Vikings, number 1 in rushing yards per game allowed and number 2 in rushing yards per play allowed. And when you look at their defensive line in particular, that's what is really interesting. Very athletic defensive line for the most part. Very mobile. Jerry Tillery, as a matter of fact, a guy that was a first-round pick in 2019, going all the way back to 2019. Right now, he's about 295. They don't have guys that are 330. They don't have, now there's a lot of teams who typically don't have guys that are 330, but all these guys, they're more athletic than they are, to me, going out there and just stuffing you. But they're very, very good. They play an excellent scheme. They're buttoned up in terms of their gap integrity across the board. And when they get a chance to make a play, they make the play.
Yep.
And that, to me, is coaching to some degree. Mm-hmm. Not only talent, but also some great coaching. When you're going to get the opportunity to make a tackle, they don't miss a lot of tackles.
So when you are facing a team with a weapon like Justin Jefferson, and he doesn't maybe have the touchdowns this year, but he's up around 1,000 yards already. He's got 5 scores, which is actually less than Marv has, and everybody's all over Marv. But we know what Justin Jefferson can do.
Right.
And I know that's contingent on the quarterback getting him the ball. But when you're facing a team with a playmaker like that, how does a defense approach a game like that?
Well, it's all about personnel, and do you have a corner that's going to follow him? Do you have a corner that can match up with him? And obviously, it's not a ton of those guys walking around, and I would say this team doesn't have one guy that stands above the other as far as you're going to trail Justin Jefferson all day. So it's all about coverages. It's really about understanding what the Minnesota Vikings like to do situationally based on where he's lined up. Is he at number 1? Is he in the slot? Is he at number 3 in a bunch? And what are the routes that they typically like in these situations? Is it 3rd and 6, 3rd and 5? And so you have to almost cover him and beat him based on the situation because every team has things to get guys open and get their guy open based on those situations and really understanding. And based on what I've seen from this defensive back group, they've been doing that, right? up to this point. And that's what they're going to have to do. And then we're going to also have the defensive line get Darnold off his spot early and often so he doesn't have time just to sit back there and find Jefferson down the field. And typically, right, the collective ends up beating out that one-star player if you can work really well and win your one-on-one matchups that way, and it helps the back end have to cover a guy like that over and over. Now, is he going to get his yards? Yes. You just don't want him to just have these big explosives. Keep things in front of you. He catches it, get him down, on to the next play if something does positive happen for the Minnesota Vikings.
And that's exactly what I was talking about earlier, too, the secondary of the Arizona Cardinals and how well they have played.
Yeah.
And not giving up these explosive plays down the field. That's over the course of their development, over the last 4 or 5 games in particular. I think that has been the difference, the explosives and not giving up a lot of the explosive plays down the field, making an offense work the ball down the field. This is something we've talked about. They've taken on this personality.
Yeah.
This identity is starting to form with these guys, and it's something they're starting to hang their hat on. Now, again, it's not a situation where you go, we're not going to try. We're not going to try to stop you. Okay. We're not going to try to get off the field, but we're going to let you work it down inside the 20. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not like that at all. Of course, but man, overall, they have really progressed, and the secondary, I think, is the beating heart of that. Not just the protection that they have provided this defense, but more than anything else, it's their ability to actually make tackles in the open field too, and I think Budda Baker is at the forefront of that.
Yep, and to your point, I was going to also say these corners are going to make sure they have to tackle this week too, especially starting Thomas and the corners right in that group, because the Minnesota Vikings are going to try to find ways to get their running back on them. Right,
Yeah.
They're averaging like 4.5 a carry. We saw that last week with Seattle Seahawks. Kenneth Walker. Right,
Yep.
There was one play that broke out. DB was late. It was a crack replace. Late. Kenneth Walker broke off a big tackle.
Yes.
And they came back to something similar. Next time it was Sterling Thomas both times. The second time he was in that position, then he shot his gun and made a play in the backfield. And so I think is also going to be a telltale. Obviously, we got to stop Justin Jefferson, but you got to be a part of this run game as well, because they're going to try to make you tackle Aaron Jones in space. And you have to have great eyes. And once you see it, you got to shoot. You can't wait for him, right? Because Aaron Jones had a great run last week versus the Chicago Bears. Crack replay situation again. The corner is sitting back waiting on him. Young people out there, young football players, don't give a space player space. Go shoot your gun, make him jump, make him do it, grab a leg. It don't have to look pretty, right? Reinforcements are coming.
Yes.
All we care is about getting him down. But the last thing you want to do is sit and wait, and here comes somebody that's 200 pounds running at you full speed, and you ain't closing space on him, right? Go shoot your gun, make him get down, make a move.
It was kind of like me and Deion Sanders one-on-one. That did not end well. That did not.
Hey, I tell you all the time, it was, Tyreek Hill, right? Same situation, same caliber athlete versus, right?
Yeah,
non-athlete, super athlete. Shot my gun, shook me, but jumped out of bounds. Yes! I got you, baby. Yeah! Shoot your gun, man. Just shoot it. Something positive's going to happen.
How did you guys get in positions, Wolf, where you're trying to tackle Dion and Zoe, you're trying to tackle Tyreek Hill?
Kickoff cover, man.
Two of the most dangerous players in like the history of the league with the ball.
They just let me run right to Dion, man. And Dion, he ran right at me and just pumped his knees super high, held the ball out, and then caught one way, and I went the other way. Oh, man, that was bad.
Don't give a space player
That
space.
was so bad. That is exactly what Zoe is talking about right there. But again, I think that's what they have really done well, too. Fundamentals. It's amazing, right? The way this happens, you continue to come back to the fundamentals of the game, whether it's blocking and tackling.
Right.
That's what the Arizona Cardinals are doing defensively better than they have been doing earlier in the season. September, I thought they were not a good tackling team. Now, since I would say mid-October, they're a very good tackling team.
Zoe, this is great, man. Have a great Thanksgiving.
Thank
all right?
you, Zoe.
too. Appreciate you.
Love you, bro. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving to you and yours.
That's Lorenzo Alexander joining us for the lowdown as he does each and every week during the season.
Thanks for watching Wolf and Luke. Tap to see more and click the button in the middle to subscribe to Arizona Sports.